Okay, fabulous. So, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We've currently got nearly 120 people on the call, which is crazy. But I guess it's a sexy subject, isn't it? Talking about seal mums and pups and their behaviour. I'm hoping that my voice is going to last. You can probably tell that out of all the nights in the year when I could have lost my voice, tonight is the night. But hopefully it'll keep going. I've got plenty of drinks. I've got cough medicine on the desk. I just hope I don't keep clearing my throat too much. And I'm sorry because it'll probably spoil it for some of you, especially if you're a bit hard of hearing. It's going to make it very hard to hear. So I do apologise in advance. Okay, this presentation is being recorded, and the point of recording it is that it will go on our YouTube channel. And Zoe will hopefully at some point be able to put our link in the chat to that. This work is only made possible by a huge number of volunteers. A lot of the photos are mine, but I have credited other people when I've used their photos. And if I've made a mistake somewhere, please do tell me. I like to know so I can put it right for next time. Okay, we should all have a thoroughly enjoyable evening. I've pressed record. That's a great start. Please keep your microphones off during the presentation. I have made Zoe a co-host, so if I drop out for whatever reason, you stay there and I will rejoin and carry on as if nothing happened. Please put in the chat, for those of you who've just joined us, who you are, where you're from, and what you love about seals. And I will attempt to have a really good look at that later on. And if I don't get to look at it during the session, then I will look at it later and smile a lot, I expect. Any questions or comments, please put them in the chat too. And please bear in mind, there is no such thing as a silly question. And I love hard questions as well. And challenging questions, as long as they're put nicely. I don't mind at all. We'll aim to finish by 8:30. That's the plan. But if you have to go early, that's completely fine. Okay. So we are at the Seal Research Trust, tiny bit about us to start with. We are a marine conservation charity, self-funded, so independent. We've got 2 full-time paid people in the entire charity, and the rest of us are volunteers, including me. And those rangers are paid by a combination of public, private, and voluntary funders, to whom we're extremely grateful. This is our timeline of our history. So in 2000, it was me, Sue, Billy, no mates, and now it's Sue, shed loads of Sealy mates, which makes me very happy. And just to give you a bit of background, basically we do an awful lot of surveying, which gives us the data, which gives us the stories that we can tell you. So in 2024, we did 12 surveys every single day of the year, from which we took 116,000 photos, processed them for 11,000 plus photo identifications, not all different seals, but multiple IDs of the same seals. We had 82 different entangled animals, and we input all that data. Why do we do it? We input it so we can make a difference. So we input it to public planning, decision-making consultations in order to give seals the important voice that they deserve and that they need. Okay, so all of my photos that I'm going to show you tonight are taken from distance using a massive zoom lens. The seals are not looking at the camera because they're not aware of the photographer. And we generally don't show photos of shed loads of seals. We tend to use just a small number, because if you post a photo online, people often say, oh, where's that? And somebody will always answer them. So what we ask people to do is, if somebody asks, please private message the person who's asking, so we don't make all the sensitive seal sites publicly known. And we do mention generic site names. So my site is the West Cornwall site. Zoe, it would be really helpful for you to just shove in the chat, if possible, how annoying my voice is as well. Because if it's really annoying, I will talk less and show more photos. Anyway, so just to confirm that, this is how far away we are with our zoom lenses. So you can barely see the seal, and when you zoom in with the zoom lens, it looks like you're standing over the seal, but you're so not. And then you can see it's a very sad photo, because it's an entangled juvenile with a single strand of monofilament line around its neck, which is devastating. So we put stickers on our photos on social media to say they've been taken responsibly and to role model good practice. We do have this photography best practice resource, which you can get access to. I will attempt towards the end as well, I should have thought of this, to put the link into our order form so you can order resources. On to pups. That's why we're here. Okay, so a little bit of data to start with. Top right shows the number of births of pups in Cornwall and the number of deaths. And for the last 8 years, there has been a deficit with more deaths in Cornwall of seals than there have been births, which is obviously more than a little bit worrying. However, the numbers do seem to be stable, which suggests that maybe the numbers are being kept up by some immigration. Maybe our habitat is particularly good in Cornwall. And if we look at the age group of the pups that are dying, the seals that are dying, unfortunately, it's the green bars that have increased over time. This is Cornwall Wildlife Trust Marine Strandings Network data, which is epic. But what their data shows is that it's molted pups that are dying. They're not making it to their first birthday. So, big numbers. You can see when our pupping season is August, September, and October now. However, if you look at the bottom right graph, what you can see is in 2022, most of our pups were born in September, and actually it was followed by a slightly more in August than October. It never used to be like that. It used to be most pups born in October followed by November, and now our pupping season has moved much earlier forwards. Pupping was down in 2024, and it's too early to say what it was going to do in 2025. But it was also down in Horsey and in Donanook, which is a tiny bit worrying. If you look on the right-hand side, in 2022, we had 4 more pups in August compared to October. In 2024, we had 54 more pups born in August than in October. So the pupping season has moved much earlier. And if we look at the peak haul-out season, you can see that's also moved earlier from March and April back through to December and January. So there's some big shifts going on. How does the pupping season move earlier? Well, we don't know, but we think. So this is Mum Scream. Sorry, this should be don't start messing me about. These have all been playing completely fine until now. Okay, so it'll probably be a bit jerky to start with, and hopefully it will settle down. So this is Mum Scream. If I know the name of a seal, I've put it on the right-hand side of the screen. And this is Mum, called Scream, who had her 2025 pup on the 13th of August. That is a whole month earlier compared to her 2017 pup. On average, she is pupping 3.5 days earlier a year. And she's incredible, had 8 pups in nine years. And I'm delighted to say that Elizabeth and Flo were with me when I took this video. This is a pup called Thistle, who was having its second only feed in its life, which is a real privilege to watch. We know it was the second one because we saw we know somebody who saw it being born and who saw it have its first feed, which we missed, and that was the second feed. Okay, just a bit of a warning. There's a tiny section here. I thought I'd put it at the start. This is the sad, upsetting stuff. So if you want to go and make a cup of tea, go and make a cup of tea and then come back afterwards. Okay, so unfortunately, some pups don't make it out of their mums. This was an extraordinary case. Bless her, Seahorse Head, who was a young mum, and her pup never made it out of her. We don't know whether she died while she was giving birth or whether she was dead and the pup started being born. We just don't know. But either way, we'd only known her for 5 years and she was a relatively young female, and her pup and she didn't make it. We also get mums who are out of season or in season who don't have mothers, and it's a devastating sight. I have a video which I wouldn't play for you because it makes me cry. It's this pup calling out for its mother, trying desperately hard to survive. And when you know you cannot help them because they're in an inaccessible place, this is heartbreaking to watch. But I always take the videos because there are people in offices who make decisions about seals who've got no idea about how horrific it can be to be a seal surveyor, and even worse, to be a pup in this situation. So this was the second pup of the 2025 season, born on the 10th of March, and the first one was actually born on the 1st of March, ridiculously out of season. Watching this pup, again, this is a very sad video, so I'm not going to play it. This is a pup after, you can see, after a big storm. You know, it was after a big storm because there's shed loads of kelp on the beach, and this pup had lost its mother, and it was moving around, trying to survive, trying to look for his mother because it was starving. These are horrible things to witness. And then, of course, some of them are premature and don't make it at all. But I learned so much useful information from this poor premature pup. You can see how small it was compared to the size of the black-backed gull that, interestingly, had flown down from North Wales, because you can see it's got a ring on its leg. But what I learned is that the umbilicus has 3 parts to it. So you can just about see them in the photo. It has 2 umbilical arteries that go from the pup to the mum, because they're arteries of the pup, not arteries of the mother. I find this really quite confusing and very counterintuitive. So there are 2 umbilical arteries that carry the deoxygenated blood from the pup to the mum's placenta, and there is 1 umbilical vein that brings the oxygen from the mum and the nutrients from the mum to the pup. Utterly fascinating. Devastatingly sad. But bearing in mind how small this pup was and how premature it must have been, you can see how well formed it was. So by the time a pup is born, its brain is 70% developed compared to an adult seal brain. If you compare that to humans, a human baby's brain is 25% of that developed compared to an adult human brain. So separation from mum, these are the classic signs. We're nearly over the sad bit, you'll be pleased to know. These are the classic signs of a pup in trouble. Pink umbilicus and worn patches, lines on the foreflippers here. They're on the knuckles of the foreflippers, and that means that the seal pup has been hauling about all over the place and worn the fur off down to the skin and made it sore. It's been hauling around looking for mum because it's starving. The other thing to note is it's got a small pink area underneath its chin, and that's because it's been suckling everything and rubbing its chin in the process and worn the fur off its chin as well. The inset photo was a second seal pup I ever rescued. I was terrified because the first one bit right through my thumbnail, but this one, everybody took the mickey out of me because it's a gummy. It's got no teeth to speak of, but it's got this appalling worn patch because it's been trying to suckle everything to survive. Nasty bit over. Yay. Okay, pup development. So mum mates immediately after or around weaning her pup. So if she has her pup and weans it in September, she mates straight away. But you can see from this mum, she is a ridiculously emaciated mum. She's also molting, which means she's having a double energy whammer. She's going to molt. All mums molt after they've mated anyway. So the egg will be fertilized, but it will not implant. It's called delayed implantation or embryonic diapause, and it won't implant for 3 whole months unless she gets fat and fit enough to sustain the pregnancy. So most embryos implant in the uterus in January for about an 8-month gestation period. And we think that that is how mums control earlier and earlier and earlier pups every year. Maybe they're getting fat and fit enough earlier to sustain that pregnancy. Who knows? Okay, so last year's masterclass, we showed a pup being born. So I've decided I'll show you a different one this year. So this was, so Martin Yellen got a fantastic sequence last year of a pup being born. This year, our volunteer Jeff Rogers did. I was a bit surprised, as with Martin's, the football coming out of the back of the mum was pink. And when I've seen a pup birth, and I've only seen one, it was a white football. But this is clearly the part of the amniotic sac that connects to the placenta. So the time on this was 9:39 in the morning. It absolutely made Jeff's day. It's a once in a lifetime experience for some of us. Not if you live on the East Coast, no, but for some of us, it's a once in a lifetime experience. This is what it looked like at 9:39, the same minute. But look at all the sand angels that this mum has created in the sand. She's been shuffling around with discomfort, waiting to give birth to her pup. Then all of a sudden, the football starts getting bigger 1 minute later. And 1 minute later, her pup is out. The rear end is going to flip out because it's come out head first. It is possible for a seal pup to come out flippers first, rear flippers first, because unlike us with long limbs, it's not a problem which way they come out. Maybe, no, the one I saw came out head first. Okay, so now you can see the structure of that placental connection to the amniotic sac as it comes out of mum's rear end. And if I show you a close-up, you can see all these blood vessels, which is amazing. And then within that next minute, you can see the pup has flipped round. You can see that umbilicus. Now you can see how different the umbilicus looks compared to the one I showed you in the premature pup. So what happens with the umbilicus is it breaks down prior to giving birth. So it will snap. When the pup comes out, the rear end flips out, the umbilicus will snap. Hasn't snapped yet. It is still connected to mum, and you can see the pup has got its eyes open. Here we go. I've labelled a few bits because I didn't know this. I had to look it up, learn a bit of anatomy. There is a chorionic membrane which connects the amniotic sac to the placenta, and that's what the red bit is with all the blood vessels in it. You can see the amniotic sac, which is that smooth membrane over and around the pup that keeps the fluid inside of it. And we should credit mum, that propeller. You're a wonderful mum. Well done. And then same minute, so all within 60 seconds, the amniotic sac has burst. You can now see amniotic fluid, which has cushioned the pup inside the mum, because remember, they haul over rocks even when they're pregnant. So the amniotic fluid cushions the pup inside the sac, and the membrane, you can see the membrane has now broken away, and the amniotic sac has disintegrated pretty much and will be lost into the shingle. You can see the severed umbilicus as well. So the umbilicus is snapped now, but you can see it's still quite substantial attached to the pup's belly button. That will be bright red. It will go dry, and as soon as it then goes black, as it decomposes, and then it will drop off. So still within that same minute, mum is now turning round thinking, thank God that's all over, I'm sure, or the equivalent in the seal world. And now she's having her first bond with her pup. So she's smelling and she's scenting. That must be absolute heaven for mother to be able to scent her pup for the first time. And then the pup takes his first breath. Now we're not 100% sure about this, but seals breath hold. So Jeff reckoned, and I've no reason to doubt him, that 3 minutes later, the pup took its first breath of air. So it's come out of a warm, dark, wet space into a light, cold, air-filled space. And it's got to realise that it needs to breathe. So if I blow that photo up a little bit, you can see the muscles opening those nostrils to take what potentially is this pup's first breath. Of course, nature doesn't waste anything, but unlike us, nature doesn't waste anything, so the blackbacks are soon in for that very nutritious placenta that's iron-rich. Watch the beginning of this video. Look at that. And the next bit. Oh, look at that. So hopefully you can see this newborn pup has nuzzled its mother to try and get a feed. We know it's a newborn pup because it's tiny and it's wet, but you can also see the amniotic sac hanging out of mum's rear end. Watching pups feed for the first time is painful as an observer, because they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't know what they're getting. They've no experience of it, but their instinct has told them, this pup in particular, to push, because the nipples are in until they're pushed, and then they pop out, and then the pup can suckle. So she's still not quite got it. She's about to get it, I think, right at the end of that video. But I can tell you that most pups don't try and suckle straight away. They've been fed in the amniotic sac, so they're not necessarily hungry, but usually within 3 hours, they will want that first feed. And I've watched pups for half an hour, ripping my hair out, wondering when they're finally going to find the teats, because the smelliest bits of mum are the most attractive, which is her bottom, her armpits, and her nose. So they don't know where to go initially, and it can be a horrific watch. Okay, so development. Newborn pups have a pink umbilicus that dries out very quickly, and they have these skin folds. The skin folds are there to fill with fat because they've got to grow a lot. Newborns are gummy, so you can just about, maybe, if you've got a big screen, see some teeth starting to poke through those gums. They emerge extremely quickly. Here's a mum. She left her pup at high tide, and since the tide's gone out, the pup shifted. Watch her nose and her head carefully. She's going to look right, look left, look straight ahead. She's going to do a projectile sneeze, because that's going to clear her nostrils of all the liquid that were in them and enable her to scent better, because she is smelling where her pup is before she can see it. So Whitefish, bless her, has now worked out where the strongest scent is from, and now she can see her pup and move over to her. But mums can have pups on beaches in Horsey, which are miles away from the sea, all sand, or they can have these huge cliff-backed, ridiculously boulder-strewn beaches that they have to negotiate. For the first few days, mums usually go to the water to chill out and get away from the kids, for goodness sake, chill out in the water. If they do that, they have to go over this terrain repeatedly, particularly at low tide. And you can see it's challenging and tiring. So after the first few days, they tend not to bother so much and stay with their pup. Once they've decided that their pup is safe, because it's survived for the first few days, then they know they will be safe, or the chances are. Incredibly, pups will feed about every 4 hours to start with for a short period of time, and then they will have longer feeds less frequently because their tummies are tiny to start with, and obviously the tummies get a chance to grow. I can't quite pin down how many thousand calories a seal pup has a day, but I've read a paper that says 17,000 calories, and I've read an article that says 22,000 calories. I can't even eat 1,200 calories to stay the same weight. So you can understand how much weight they put on every day. And one misfeed is 1% of a pup's nutrition. So 10 misfeeds, 10% of its nutrition. There's a really good chance it won't survive its first year. The milk is ridiculous. Now, this was a silly place to feed your pup. She's on a rock, and the rock is putting pressure on her body for her mammary glands, which is actually forcing the milk out. But it was a really good example to show you of it's like single cream, or maybe, whipping cream before you whip it. Really quite incredible. So you get this fast food transfer in 3 weeks from a fat mum with a skinny pup. These are not the same mums, obviously, but it's Wing Walker on the right, fat pup, skinny mum on the right. So you can even see the mum's hip bones on the right. That's how much weight she's transferred. Mum gives 80% of her body fat and reserves to her pup. Not 80% of her weight, but 80% of her fat reserves to her pup. Scent is the most strong bond. Mums know which is their pups almost immediately. However, pups don't really seem to know which is their mum straight away. It's harder for the pup to recognise its mum by scent, apparently. Although we've got some interesting stuff to tell you later on that suggests that might not be the case. Okay, whiskers are part of the communication. This is Mum Ivy telling the Beachmaster to get lost and get away from her pup. However, she quite likes him because he's a good Beachmaster. So they do interlocking whiskers, which may be a bit like a human kiss, or maybe it's a bit like a handhold, saying, I'm prepared to tolerate you, but then I'm going to howl at you because I want you to get lost. Obviously, in a lot of places, mums do not take pups for swimming lessons, but in Cornwall and places where are cliff-back beaches with high tides, they have to. So this is a mum giving her pup a first swimming lesson. And one of the things that the mums repeatedly do is push their pups' heads under the water, which looks cruel. But they do it because their pups don't know yet that they can put their heads underwater. And only when their mums force their heads underwater do they realise, oh, there's a whole new world here that I can explore. And of course, by 3 weeks, this is how fat a fat chonk pup should be to have a really good chance of surviving its first winter. It started to molt and we called this one Inky, absolutely gorgeous. But they can get even fatter than that. However, not everywhere in the country has pups this fat, which is quite an interesting and a new thought that I've learned this year. So we need to do some exploration about that. Check out how fat this chonk is. So this is at weaning, 3 weeks oldish, lost its white fur coat completely. The fastest we've had a pup lose its white coat was 15 days. So they can lose it quite quickly. And this is how fat they need to be. Look how well hydrated that seal pup is because it's got big tears across its eyes. So it's very hydrated from the food the milk that it's drunk, or the food that it's eaten, but most likely the milk that it's drunk, because it's got metabolic water that it's using to flush its eyes. As soon as they leave their mothers, they're fully functioning, which is incredible. We know this from this legendary seal pup we called Smroo, who was satellite tagged at 3 weeks and left the beach at 4 weeks from Bardsey in North Wales, where that blackback gull had come from. In 4 weeks, it left the beach, and in the next 8 weeks, it did 1,000 kilometres, visiting Ireland, Scillies, Brittany, before being rescued at Gunwallow on the south coast of Cornwall. It had to be rescued because the satellite tag had been glued to the skin accidentally. Must have struggled when the satellite tag was being put on. It was glued to its skin, and it now had a wound all the way around the satellite tag, which had to be surgically removed by the Cornish Seal Sanctuary. But in 8 weeks, it had done 1,000 kilometres, routinely dived to 120 metres. Has serious capabilities for a pup this young. However, the flaw in the plan is that mum never taught the pup what to catch or how to catch it. And that's the steep learning curve that pups have. Okay, on to pup behaviours. This is just my excuse of having a cute load of videos to show you, really. Sorry for that. Or photos. So this is a pup tired and yawning. You can see the size of the teeth, very substantial already. They've come through big time. This is a beautiful fat chonk having a kip on the beach. And this is a pup alert and looking around, exploring its environment. This is a pup that's active. This is Thistle again, who I've used in my background, bless it. Having a head rub, alert and alive and awake, but not sleeping, but not moving either. And this is Thistle again on day 1. You can tell it's day 1 because you can still see blood on her back from being born. But this was her movement on day 1. Watch the front end of the body and the body at the back. There's pretty much no movement at the back. It's just dragging completely. There's no real power in the foreflippers. And hopefully you could also see that the fine motor skills of the movement of the body, of the head in particular, are not yet fully developed. There's a lot of wiggling and jiggling going on. But nevertheless, day one, even with limited muscle development, that pup is able to move over the surface successfully. And then it's going to explore. So now it's investigating a stone. It'll investigate anything that seems to be different or interesting on the substrate. So Martin took this photo of two pups interacting. We don't see this that often, to be honest, and there were some concerns, but in the end, they both seemed fine. Hopefully you can see the pup on the left is younger than the pup on the right, which is fatter. But what I find quite interesting is you can still see those skin folds underneath the fur that still have to be filled up with all that fat. And then when the mums go, they do this, they do rock pooling. Well, this is a bit of a risky sea to go rock pooling in. I wouldn't like the undertow if I was trying to swim in it. But nevertheless, the pup seemed really competent in that water. And then I put this in because it's one of my favourite videos. It's on our YouTube channel, so you can share it with people. There's a bit of seaweed, kelp, sticking up out of the seabed. And the pup is obsessed with it. So I called it pole dancing and target practice. It just kept playing with this bit of kelp that was sticking out of the surface and having a lovely time in the water doing it. So I thought it was a beautiful video. It's been swooshed, it's quite a strong pull again with the water, but it's still lovely and it still wants to find that target of the kelp. And then this was taken this year very recently, and it's a pup chasing its tail. So it's just doing circles. And it just shows how flexible they are. How many of you can put your nose on your toes? I can't. I can just about get the palms of my hands down on my toes. But that pup had no problem chasing its tail. And then this gobsmacks me. So this was down on the south coast. Look how much power this swimming seal pup has. It's motoring with intent. And then I realised actually it was coming back onto shore, and you can see how strong the pull is to pull it back into the sea, but it's holding its ground. So it's got quite a bit of power. And then you can see mums coming up behind it. So all the time, this mum has been on the seaward side of a pup to check it doesn't get washed out. And then this was sent to me by Jill from Wales. Oh my goodness. Check out the speed of this pup swimming. It's incredible. What's it doing? Why is it swimming with speed? And is it something to do with it's just the joy of swimming? Is it just incredible? When you realise when you wiggle your rear flippers, you can power yourself through that water at a rate of knots. It must be great fun. A bit like flying, but in the sea. Look at that. Wiggle the rear end and off we go again. Look at speed. And then there's a little bit of, a bit of breaching, I guess. Don't see that very often. I know Martin's seen it down at the Lizard recently. And then a handbrake turn at the end. You gotta love it, haven't you? Oh no, we haven't finished yet. Oh yeah, there we go. Handbrake turn at the end. Incredible. If you've got any comments or observations, please do shove them in the chat. I will attempt to look at them towards the end. Okay, mum behaviours. So this is a mum who's worried. She's not going slowly. She's not going particularly careful. She's worried because she's been scared by somebody on the cliff top and she's legging it into the sea. Now she's a bit knackered and she's not sure, so she's going to stop. But that's what mums will do. And over that difficult terrain, they can injure themselves. Same mum tie, looking. She's periscoping to look for her pup because she's worried about it. So that kind of behaviour is anxious behaviour. This is what relaxed mum behaviour looks like. Just chilling out under the surface, fast asleep with occasional bubbles coming to the surface. Beautiful to watch. But mums can be threatening as well. They have to protect their pups. So this is a low threat with or without calls. So you might hear them going, ooh, oh, I can't do it really with my throat. You might hear them howling at each other. And one mum telling another mum to go away, or with high threat, flippering, splashing, howling really strongly, telling the Beachmaster to get lost. I'm not ready. Go away. I'm not interested. Go away. Go away is the polite way of putting it. And then I thought this one was quite interesting. Oh, blast, I forgot to mute it. Okay, so this is a young mum, probably a first-time mum, and she's sand snuffling, which means she's following a scent in the substrate to try and smell what's under the surface. Now, it could be that somebody's had a wee there. It could be that the pup has been there, but either way, she's just been disturbed by the Beachmaster and she is not happy. So she goes, oh, and then she's realised how big he is. It's like, oh my God, should I have taken this guy on? But of course, Seal Society is female dominated. So she plucks up the courage and says, look, I really meant it when I said, get lost, go away, leave me alone. And what does he do? He respects his females, because if he doesn't respect his females, he will not be allowed to mate with her. And he's gone off. Okay, we've got two mums here and two pups. A melanistic mum who always throws us because we always think she's a male, and of course she's not. Tell by the small size of her head. This is her first ever pup. And she is threatening an experienced mum who's having none of it. And now the melanistic mum has realised that she's got nowhere to go because there's a rock in the way. But she's looking at her pup's on the right, and she's thinking, I've got to protect it. So I'm going to have to do this. Now I'm going to change my language because I've put a submissive role. But I've had a long chat with Mike, who's in Horsey, and I agree with him. What you tend to find is seals that feel confident, and what they're showing is they're being assertive and they're not scared, but they're also not a threat. They will roll. So you get adult male Beachmasters who will roll away from females. And it's kind of like saying, I'm powerful enough to be confident enough to give way to you and to not be aggressive. So I've used the word submissive, but it's wrong. And I'm going to change that when I deliver this talk again. Watch the next video, which shows the aftermath of this. So this is her now, and look, here is the role saying, okay, I'm not going to be threatening you, but I am going to protect my pup. And now the other one understands the message, and I is now focusing on her pup and not worrying so much about the melanistic mum. Here's a worried mum, whitefish, you've seen her before. She's moving fast into shore. Why is she worried? She's worried because her pup was heading for the sea. And obviously that's a risky thing for a pup to potentially do. Mum now needs to be very vigilant to make sure that she knows where her pup is at all times and doesn't get lost in the sea. As you can see, the water is quite calm, so it's not much of a threat. However, when she gets to the shore, you can see her pup who's heading towards the sea, and there's another female there who's got to be put in her place. It's just how it is. There is a pecking order and a hierarchy. There will often be a matriarch female who is the most experienced female at a site who must be respected at all times. However, you can still tell them off when they're threatening their pups. So here she is watching her pup from the shore. She wants to stay in the sea, but can you see her eyes? Scared seals or alert seals or worried seals always have big eyes. They've always got big eyes, but they're even bigger. And sometimes you can see the whites in their eyes, which is what you can see here. So you know this is a worried, not a relaxed mum. And then sometimes when you're a pregnant female, hauling out's hard work. It's even harder when you're not pushing down on something hard. When you're going over kelp, it's even more effort to get out to see your pup. So respect pup 3, that's what she's called. She's got a, yeah, I don't know why she's called pups, but she's got 3 equals 3 on her side. She must have a picture of a pup, I guess. Okay, mum and pup behaviours. So this is an interesting photo. This pup is a meconium pup. So basically, the pup had its first tarry poo inside the amniotic sac. So it stained its fur this kind of browny, tarry, orangey colour that will perhaps persist for quite a long time, even if the pup goes in the water. Sometimes it leads to health complications, but not always. Here we've got a mum scream watching her pup on the shore. Now I will, hopefully, and if I forget, I will get Karen to send you out after the talk. We've got all your email addresses. We'll send out the links that I'm about to show you. So I've got a real-time video of that pup's second ever feed. So it's quite long, and it shows you how painful it can be to watch pups feeding and how hard it is for mums to do this and for pups. And then I've got some of other thistle behaviours on day one. So we'll put those links in the chat, hopefully. But look out for this kind of, I always find this fascinating, the jiggly behaviour of the lack of the motor skills with newborn pups. So here we've got a mum and a pup. You can see how fat mum still is. She's got to shed loads of fat reserves and her muscles have got to retract again after she's given birth. Here we've got the scent bonding between Snowdrop and her pup. It must be a heavenly experience. Mum and pup cuddles look absolutely idyllic and gorgeous. What a privilege to be able to watch that. And then we've got a mum flippering her pup to feed. Come and feed. It's about time you had a feed. And the pup's far too interested playing with a bit of kelp than it is in feeding. So mum's going to try and tempt it. But maybe mum also thinks it needs to feed or go in the sea a bit. Maybe it's time for a swimming lesson. Who knows? So mum's going down the beach, tempting the pup down the beach, rolling over to present her pup the teats to try and encourage the pup. Pup's starting to take some notice, so mum then thinks, oh, well, that's good, I'll move her down towards the sea. So this is how a mum controls her pup through feeds for the first 10 days. By the end of week 2 and into week 3, it is the pup who is in control of that relationship, because the pup will be doing what it wants and the mother has to accede to the pup's wants. So here we've got Nettie Rectangle feeding her pups. You can see that after a couple of weeks of feeding, her teeth are permanently out and looking a bit worn. I don't know whether they're sore, but they're certainly looking a bit worn. And I reckon that mum suddenly woke up because it was sore. So maybe the pup had done a little bit of biting with those sharp teeth and shocked the mum into a little bit of pain. This made me laugh so much. This is a pup feeding and falling asleep midway through the feed. And mum thinks, yay, I get a bit of peace. Because the pup had spent ages constantly howling to get a feed. And when the mum finally fed it, the pup was too tired to feed and fell asleep. Hilarious. Anyway, mum's sensible. She's going to stay put because she knows if she moves, the pup will wake up and start howling again for food. You know what it's like when you've got a kid, you have to let them sleep. When you finally get them to sleep, you have to let them sleep. So this is a mum telling another pup to get lost, and she's biting it. So she's biting its neck. I've seen, and you can also see the movement of the sand, look. So this has all happened at speed because she's throwing the sand up. So I've seen a pup hassling a male repeatedly to feed it because it's lost its mum and it needs rescuing. British Divers Marine Life Rescue were on the cliff top waiting to start the rescue, kitting up, and all of a sudden we saw this male finally lose its temper with the pup, and it took the whole of the pup's mouth inside its mouth. And we were going, oh my God, we're too late. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And when the male opened its mouth, the pup had pink pink stuff on top of its head. And we were thinking, oh my God, it's caused damage. What's it done to the skull? Oh my God. Carried on with the rescue. When the pup got to the Cornish Seal Sanctuary, the pup had no puncture wounds in its head at all. So the pup's head had been entirely in the adult's mouth and it hadn't punctured it anywhere. So it's a case of really threatening behaviour, but with care, because it knows it shouldn't really be hurting something that's that young. It needs softness somehow. So whilst it's been totally scary, terrified the pup who ran off, it knows to not really do any harm. Now, I'm not saying they don't ever do any harm because I know they sometimes do, but often In most circumstances, it's done gently, but in a threatening enough way to scare the pup. So this is not pup's mum. This is a mum who only wants to feed her pups. She does not want to feed other pups. Well, that's interesting. I'll be interested in a little bit when I tell you. Mum and pup moving together. So we've got following each other down the beach. Lovely sunshine. Mum wanted to go and lie in the sun, I think. And the pup's having to follow her over all these little bouldery bits. And let's face it, if I tried to walk over these boulders, I'd be slipping and sliding everywhere as well. Here we've got a pup trying to climb on top of his mother. Martin, who took this photo, who's on the call probably watching, said that the mum didn't have it. She wouldn't have it hanging there crawling on its back. But it did have a really good attempt to get up there. And then swimming lessons. Okay, so this is a mum in a rock pool with its pup. They're having a great time interacting with each other, having a lovely time, pushing its head under again, look. Checking it's okay. Pup's having a good sniff. It's quite strong. Going out, so now mum's got to follow it. Here we've got a pup having a piggyback, another of Martin's epic photos, having a piggyback in the water. And then we've got two mums and a Beachmaster here, telling the Beachmaster to get lost. So I've already said Seal Society is female dominated, and the Beachmasters have to listen to their females, as you'll see in a minute. So wise Beachmasters keep their distance on the seaward side of mums and pups. They don't waste any energy, and they don't waste the energy of the mum and the pup. They're respectful, but they're always waiting in case she comes into season. Wise Beachmasters keep their distance. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way, because I said to you, a 3rd-week-old pup is in control. So here's Inky. Inky's going to the sea. So mum is fed up because she's having to follow it, and the Beachmaster's fed up because he's got to follow her. So now we've got the situation being controlled by the almost weaned pup. Non-sensible Beachmasters, inexperienced ones, waste everybody's energy. They waste their energy because they're fasting, and they're wasting energy now because they're hassling the female. She's telling him to get lost, so she's wasting her energy, and the pup's trying to follow the mum. It's wasting its energy. So Square Eyes is not being particularly helpful here. Sorry, Square Eyes is the mum. The Beachmaster is not being particularly helpful here, and he's wasting everybody's energy. Here we've got, so I said mums can scare their pups that aren't theirs, they'll scare them away. Well, this mum obviously made an exception. So here we've got her feeding her own pup at 16:07. She was approached by a second younger pup, and then she fed the younger pup at 10 minutes later. So here we've got a mum feeding 2 pups in 10 minutes. And there she is nuzzling the second one with the younger one feeding. And then we've got this one. So here we've got one mum. I hope you can see this pattern here. Can you see the H shape, the letter H on her side? So this is H feeding her almost molted pup, ridiculously fat chonk. And then 8 minutes later, she's feeding a fully molted fat chonk. And it's still H. Hopefully you can see the letter there. So mum's feeding 2 pups. That's all we've had experience of until later this year. More to come. So this is Florence, who's on the call tonight. Hopefully she's listening with her mum and her sister. So I've got a case study to show you. 1 cove, 7 pups. So in this pupping cove, it's a relatively small beach, but it's got a space at high tide. It's on the coast path and it's vulnerable to disturbance. It's actually accessible with a footpath. With a mix of seals singing, misleading path signs, and the cliffs framing the seals, walkers tend to go towards the cliff to see where the seal pups are. On nice days, you can have 15 people in an hour or more. They've recorded 15, so well done you guys. And it's concerning how close people can get and how nervous some of the seal mums are. When you get, aware of what nervous and anxious behaviour looks like, you can see how nervous the mums get. But it's easily accessible, especially to people and dogs off leads. So until this year, we've only had a maximum of 5 pups in the whole of the season on this particular beach. But this year we've had 7 with 6 at the same time on this beach. For those of you on the East Coast with your thousands of pups, it makes it very hard for you to study the behaviour. But when you're doing photo ID on a small site with a limited number of skills, you can really start to drill down into detailed behaviour. The whole stretch of coastline is littered with hidden coves and caves where mums and pups could be hid. But anyway, here's the Beachmaster, Grizzly, and he's a bit of a legend, doing really well. He's a beautiful adult male. Look at him, he's gorgeous. I love a male seal. We've had 7 pups this season, as I said. So this is all Flo's work. She's prepped these slides for me, just so that you know, Flo is 13 years old and she knows exactly what she's doing. She's brilliant at photo ID. And I have checked, and so has our Ranger Sarah, checked her IDs, so we know they're right. This is Archer Lady's pup that she's had this year, and you can see how Archer Lady's pup has grown. Drippy is the pup, and Drippy was last seen on the 19th of October. Here's Pringle, looking absolutely gorgeous. A bit of a theme to the names here, I think. Here we've got Pringle, and he was seen playing in the waves on the 18th of October. That was the last sighting, but you can see Fat Chonk again. And then we've got Artichoke here. Best Mum Award goes to Clover. Clover was in the same puddle every day, making sure that Artichoke was well fed and happy. He was last seen on the 27th of October. Popcorn, here with Mum Teardrop, last seen on the 22nd with his Sealy friends and adopted sibling Oreo. We'll come on to that in a minute. And then we've got Marshmallow, whose mum was never seen. But I absolutely love this photo. You can see how well fed he was, even though his mum was never seen by the surveyors. Check out that fur nest. Isn't that fur nest on the top right photo beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. You just want to go and collect it all up. Of course, that wouldn't help the pup. We're staying on cliff tops and we're 100 metres away, out of sight, out of hearing range. And then we've got...
Take that downstairs.
Oh, can somebody mute themselves, please, if that's all right? Okay, thank you. Right, Butterfly is the mum, and this is Oreo, okay, who was born on the 7th and was last seen on the 22nd with an adopted sibling, Popcorn. Okay, because see how big Oreo's teeth are. Check this out. Okay, and then finally Burdock, who was slightly later and who appeared when he was already a few days old, so he wasn't born on this particular beach, must have come from somewhere else. Okay, so Oreo's mum Butterfly has been seen feeding 3 different pups and continuously giving 2 of them affection. Elizabeth and Flo first noticed this behaviour on the 11th of October when we saw her swimming with Popcorn, whose mum hadn't been seen for 14 days, and Popcorn clearly wasn't Butterfly's pup. Later on the 13th, we saw Butterfly feeding Artichoke, whose mum had left the previous day. She wasn't seen feeding Artichoke again, but in the week that followed, she fed both Oreo and Popcorn as if Popcorn was her own. She was seen feeding both pups on 5 different occasions, and we know for sure that Oreo and Popcorn aren't related as they are 10 days difference between them. But both of them left the beach on the 22nd of October, one day after Butterfly had left. So here's the story, the soap opera that unfolded. Butterfly and Oreo on the day that Oreo was born. Here's the placenta and amniotic sac. And in a video you'll see in a minute that Flo's done for you, you can see that there's blood coming out of the mum's rear end. So there is no doubt that this Oreo is Butterfly's pup. On the 11th, 4 days later, this is mum, Butterfly, swimming with a much older seal pup who's Popcorn, giving it swimming lessons. On the 13th, Butterfly was feeding Artichoke. You can just see Oreo hiding behind the rock. And then on the 14th, Butterfly was seen feeding Popcorn, not feeding Oreo on that day. On these particular days, Butterfly was seen feeding both pups. Utterly incredible. Videos to follow. And then, so far, they've done 31 surveys. Elizabeth has walked 160 miles to do this surveying. They've thoroughly enjoyed hosting visits from Sue and Martin. They've worked hard with Natural England to improve the signage, and they're planning to remove all the litter ready for the 2026 season. Natural England have been very supportive, and Elizabeth has a great contact with them. Grizzly, the male, has proved himself worthy of #1 Beachmaster, and it's been utterly awesome to witness Butterfly feeding, playing with and guarding over her extra responsibility Popcorn. Oreo seemed to cope well with the shared milk and the maternal attention. 6 pups have safely left the cove, and hopefully finally Burdock will. So here's a video that Flo has put together. This is really a summary of what I was just saying, but it's got some videos in it, so I thought you would like to see it. Incredible. That butterfly has now fed Oreo, who was a fat enough pup when it was weaned, popcorn, not hers, and artichoke, not hers. Well done, Flo, for putting this first video together. So this is the day that Oreo was born. Mum looks exhausted, I'm not surprised. Everybody's wondering what? This is the swimming lesson with popcorn. 4 days later. Butterfly. Easy to identify butterfly. She's got a gorgeous pattern on her neck. Bringing popcorn out of the water. Here they come, up the beach. See, popcorn's quite old. Feels a little bit like popcorn's in control. Butterfly feeding artichoke. And then butterfly feeding popcorn again. So popcorn's fully molted, absolutely gorgeous, easy to ID, so we know which seal pup's which. And here we've got butterfly feeding both Oreo and popcorn. Now, obviously, Oreo's on the teats, the white coat pup, but popcorn is feeding higher up, or thinks it is. And we'll talk about that in a minute, because it's really interesting when we see Mum's belly. Mum's using popcorn as a pillow. Now look at Mum's belly. Where popcorn was feeding before and now popcorn's on the teat, you can see the suckling has sucked all the fur off Mum's belly. So now she's got some bald patches. I think she might be getting a little bit fed up here, but it's gorgeous footage. Absolutely gorgeous. Here, I've got a feeling that butterfly thinks, oh God, popcorn, not you again. For goodness sake. And then she realizes she can't back out of the way because the back's up against a rock. Her teeth are a bit bloody in this video, so I think her teeth are now quite sore. But she's still being permanently bothered. Look how fat Oreo is. So Oreo's a fat pup, but see how huge popcorn is. Now with elephant seals, they have super wieners. And I'm just wondering, have we got super wiener in popcorn? But you can see Oreo's perfectly fat enough to be weaned, and Mum's had enough milk to feed 3 pups. How is that even possible? Utterly incredible and fantastic observations, as you can see. Thank you very much for putting that together, Flo. It's amazing. And they were last seen on the 22nd, and it's great that Mum was able to successfully wean Oreo as well as the other pups who were already weaned, probably. Right, Beachmasters, on to them. I'm sorry, I'm going a bit slower than I was expecting. It's probably my throat. I can't speak as fast. So Rocket here, 5 days old, top. And then down here, is that right? No, 1 day old, top left. 5 day old, 16 days old, fat chonk, look. And then we've got 21 days old, starting to molt with a bit of fur pattern that we were able to trace him to. This is him 31 days old, still on the beach. This is him at 4.5 years old. And this is him at 9 years old. And this is him pretending to be a beachmaster, by which I mean he's practicing to be a beachmaster. So this is him at 10 and 11 years old. Now, 10 is the age that beachmasters usually start to try it on, and he's going to try it on. He's interested in the mum to the right of him. These 2 little juveniles are worried because they know there's something to be worried about, so they're going to head to the sea. But unfortunately, between them and the sea is Rocket. So what's Rocket going to do? Is he going to be furious with these pups that are in his way? Because what he's interested in is scaring the other males off the beach. So the next video shows he's only really got eyes for Tap. Bless her. She smells nice, but she doesn't want him. She's not in season. He completely ignores those 2 little ones who'd hauled out in the way, and now they've got an escape route. All he's interested in is going to the back of the beach and scaring all the other males off. He did that very successfully, but he was born on that beach where he was beach mastering. What are the implications of that? It's called philopatry. Has been recorded by the Sea Mammal Research Unit on the Isle of May. But what does it say about genes? Obviously, if we interbreed, because if he's mating with females on the beach where he was born, he's mating with his mums, his sisters, his aunts, his granny. And what are the impacts of that? Well, I've read a paper that says maybe inbreeding is not such an issue for seals as it is for humans, but I don't think it's been recorded enough for us to be anywhere near sure about that. Here's a Beachmaster admiring mum 14 days after she gave birth, Orion and Moment Boy. I love Moment Boy. I had a moment with Moment Boy. He's lovely. That's why he's called Moment Boy. Okay, so they decide to mate at day 14. This is gruesome and explicit. I want to close your eyes for the next bit. The waves have receded a little bit. He's now locked inside her, which is what happens. He has part of his penis has a lock mechanism on it that traps inside, but she's had enough. But it's still locked inside her, so it stretches. Oh my God, it's like, how long is that? Oh, I was a bit shocked, I have to say, when I saw that. And now he's out and they're unlocked. She looks like she's regretting trying to get away from him. Look at her. She's still doing flirty behaviour with him. She still wants his attention, but unfortunately his attention has been withdrawn. Don't know whether he just wants to enjoy the moment now, because they've been locked together for about 20 minutes. So that's how long they've been together, and they've been having a moment for their 20 minutes, giving the sperm plenty of time to get up where it needs to be to fertilize the eggs. And then she wanted rid of him, and now she doesn't want rid of him. Oh, it's like women, you never know what they want, eh? Anyway, he's woken up with a big wave now, so the moment's probably been lost. Hey ho. Okay, so just in case you missed it, that's how long it was when it was still trapped inside Orion. Shocking. Okay, so this is what they did afterwards. They hung around for a bit around that boulder. And then eventually he went into the sea when the waves got big enough and he left her. So mating, we've had Wings, who is this female. On the right-hand photo, you can see her mating with Starline, and they mated they had 10 confirmed matings, those two, with the average length of the mating was 27 minutes, thanks to all the volunteers who took all these records when we were doing a pup watch. And then this male, can you see he's got two white blobs? He's called flipper eyes, pair of eyes behind his flipper. Different male to this one. So she's also mated with a second male, and that mating lasted 19 minutes. So she's mated over a period of at least 3 days with two different males. This one was gobsmacking. So this is more of Martin's excellent detailed field observations. The left-hand photo shows the start of the mating. The left-hand photo shows how they separated. This mating lasted for 72 minutes. 72 minutes they were locked together in the sea, which is incredible. Right, interesting encounters. This is the last section. So we've got we've got a 3-day-old pup skeleton dead on the beach, as you can see in the top right photo. Huge thanks to Dave Jarvis for making this possible and Rob Wells for taking this fantastic photo. It's a 3-day-old pup skeleton. The graph on the bottom shows the percentage of dead white coats and molted pups compared to all the births. Now, this is weird because I don't know if you can tell, but in a lot of years, the proportion of births, most of the pups died and contributed to between 65, 70, 40, and then up to 120% of the births. Now, we're pretty sure from really detailed research that we've done that we get most of the births recorded, but we do get pups moving in from other areas when they get washed out. The Isles of Scilly, Wales, we know we get them from these locations. So in some years, all of the equivalent of our pups that are born here are wiped out by deaths, which is a bit worrying. So we do pup watches to keep them safe. British Divers Marine Life Rescue, Cornish Seal Sanctuary, Cornish Wildlife Trust and the local marine groups and Ice Bay Newquay. And what we did for this Mum and Pup, when they're on public beaches and people need to be told or explained to what the mums and pups need in order for the pup to survive its first winter, you can see it was successful because this pup made it to Fat Chonk. The volunteers, 35 of them, monitored for 16 days, over 232 hours. They watched lots of feeds and they talked to 837 people, raising awareness of mum and pup needs. Interestingly, the average feed for the pup was 8.5 minutes. Following year, we did a similar thing on a different beach with Wings and her pup Jet. And again, 25 volunteers, 217 hours, lots of feeds, talked with 800 odd people again, raising awareness. Fantastic work. Thank you all, volunteers. You're amazing. Average pup feed, 8.5 minutes. So for two completely unrelated, different cases, both average feed times was 8.5 minutes. And then when we look, the first one is the top two graphs and the second one is the bottom two graphs. If we look at the number of feeds on both of the pups, they drop down to day 8. Is mum not able to produce as much milk on day 7 and 8? Has she had enough on day 7 and 8? What's happened? Why do the number of pup feeds decrease and the length of the pup feeds decrease to day 8? And then you can see they both rank up again towards the end of weaning. Special mums, always got to talk about special mums. This is Tulip Bell. You can see her calendar at the bottom of identifications, years across the top, months down the side, number of IDs in the boxes, and the colours of the locations. She's had 4 pups in the Isle of Man, which is a 900-kilometre round trip to go and have her pups. And then she comes back to Cornwall in between. We don't think she's had a pup in the Isle of Man since 2018, but we have no idea where she has her pups. And what's bizarre is she's gone back in 2025 to not visiting during the molting season, but to visit in the years when we used to see her going to the Isle of Man. So I'm going to have to contact the Isle of Man guys and say, did you see Tulip Bell in 2025? Waves is a rule breaker. I love her to bits, but she's a rule breaker. So instead of having her pups at the site where she was born, which is what they're supposed to do, she hadn't read the rule book. She's had her pups at 4 different sites. 2024 down here further west, and then most of them have been here at West Cornwall East, but she's had one up here as well. Only ever see her during the pupping season or the molting season. And this photo of her first pup, Splash, in 2007 was actually used in an exhibition in San Francisco about single-use plastic bottles, because those bottles would bang around the pup at high tide when they were all pushed to the back of the beach and bop the pup on the head. This is Wave doing something special. So this is the only time I personally have ever seen a mum feed 2 pups. So this is Waves. Her pup's in the pool on the right. The pup on the left, who's obviously much younger, let out one mom howl, and Waves left her pup and went and fed this other one. Maybe it's a sibling of hers, maybe it's a child of hers who's had its first pup. How did she know that it needed feeding? Why did she go and feed it? Why did she not chase it off? We'll never know. So she fed both. This is my favourite girly, Mum, legendary. She's had 20 pups in 21 years. She missed 2018, but unfortunately she has also missed 2024 and 2025. Even though she was seen making a pup in 2023, she didn't come back in 2024. Unfortunately, not been back in 2025. So it might be the end of an era for us and Ghost. Bless her. It's a good job I took a lot of attention of her when I last saw her in 2023, because I don't know whether she's still alive or not, but she's always going to be a legend. This is Ghost with a dead pup. This is why I talk about the ecozoic, which is an era when we understand we're one species in a planetary ecosystem upon which we depend. But the ecozoic also tells us that whilst we can try and think seal, we can never be seal. So her instincts, described by the ecozoic as inexplicable and unbelievable to us, meant that she came out for her dead pup for 15 days to try and feed it. Now, if the pup had been washed off the beach, I don't think she would have done that. But because the pup was born on a high tide, spring tide, and the tides then receded, the pup didn't get washed out. So she just kept coming out to try and feed it because she could smell her pup was there. And then this. epic behaviour by Ghost. So you can see there's two pups here. All right, I'm just going to go back and play it again. You can see there are two pups. Pup on the left is hers, and she's bringing it out of the water. The pup on the right, she knows is at risk of being washed off the beach. So she keeps an eye on her pup, look, but she scares the hell out of the other pup to move it up the beach. And I'm pleased to say that Simon, who took this video, said that the pup did move up the beach and did not get washed back in the swash back onto the shore, but went up behind the boulder and was fine. And now Ghost is escorting her pup up the beach out of the swell. She knows there's another big wave coming. She's watching the wave. She's watching a pup. I'll play once more because I do genuinely think it's an utterly amazing bit of caring behaviour for a seal pup that is not hers. But watch her head. She's looking between the two all the time. She's flippering one and checking hers. So she's not putting her pup at risk, but she is trying to save the life of the other pup that may or may not be related to her. Who knows? Fabulous bit of footage. And then once she's done the best that she can, and the other white coat's disappeared around the boulder, she's escorting arm over her pup, taking up the beach into safety. Right, and this is the gobsmacking news that we have for 2025. This again has been put together by Flo, a 13-year-old. Utterly amazing. We think we've had twins for the first time ever. This is a first for me. We've never had this in Cornwall. Twins are extremely rare, as you'll find out in a minute. So here we've got a mum who's called Key with her two potential pups. We've been keeping this secret. We would never share this experience in real time. Sadly, the Norfolk mum, there were two pups, 2015, there were two pups born in the wild in Norfolk. And the event created huge excitement, as many of you will know, because we've got lots of Friends of Horsey people here on today, with people flocking to see the spectacle. Sadly, the Norfolk mum left the twins, possibly due to human disturbance, and they were cared for by the RSPCA. We didn't want to repeat performance here, so we just kept all news under wraps. We didn't even tell our trusted volunteers. We kept it with the tight team who surveyed that site and who knew about it. So we're hugely grateful for everybody for keeping their mouths shut about it. Lizard has a huge tourist footfall, so Key and her pups would have been extremely vulnerable to disturbance. So this is Key's visit pattern. You can see she mostly visits Lizard South. She's an extraordinary seal because there are no other seals that spend so much time in one location, to our knowledge, to our records currently, except Key. She's been known to spend 12 months of the year at this particular site. She's had 9 pups since 2014, and all of them have been at Lizard South. This September was our big surprise. The team is blessed with experienced researchers who know their sealies probably better than their own families. And in September, Key was spotted by Terry with 2 adorable white coats. Key was the only mum present, and he soon realised she'd possibly given birth to twins. There is a tiny possibility, so we're not saying it's definitely twins, but there's a tiny possibility that Donut, who also came onto the same beach, did give birth to the pup, but for some reason decided to leave it. Maybe because Key's a matriarch, maybe we just don't know. But either way, these pups were the same age. The incidence of twins in pinnipeds, so this is what the research that Flo's done. Incidence of twins in pinnipeds is not well documented, but the occurrence is believed to be rare. The reproductive biology of seals doesn't favour twins. Mums rarely have enough milk to successfully wean them, apparently, but that seems to have been proved wrong. Increasingly, the greatest instance has been found of twins in grey seals and northern fur seals. The DNA test in Norfolk revealed that they were the first grey seal twins officially recorded in the wild in the world. However, there had been twins historically born at the Cornish Seal Sanctuary a long time ago. It's not uncommon for mother seals to be observed suckling 2 pups that are not twins, as you've seen earlier. The SRT has seen this on a number of occasions. The great news is that Key did an amazing job nurturing both pups until they weaned at a good weight, and all 3 left the coast safely. We won't ever know if we've had the world's first successfully weaned, say that again. If we've had the world's first successfully weaned twins, only DNA testing would have proved that, and we would never have been able to justify it. So it's a mum of the year. Mum of the year goes to Key with her two pups, and here they are, both suckling at the same time. I love the fact that there's a bit of spray. Well done, Elizabeth. Great videoing here. Lovely, lovely to see the two mums. Right, nearly finished. If you would like to learn more about seals, we run two courses, Discovering UK Seals, Biology, Ecology, Species ID and Conservation, and Seal Field Skills to Inform Conservation, bit of a mouthful, Surveying, Recording, Influencing Decision Making and Photo ID. And is it too early to mention the C word? We've got lots of great gifts for C. Christmas, in other words. We've got this book, which one of our volunteers, Rob Wells, wrote, and it's about 9 lives of a seal pup who follows 9 threats during the first year of its life. But it has a happy ending. In fact, a beautiful, touching ending. So if you know any youngsters in your family, they definitely need to have a look at that book, along with this one, because if we can show children and get the idea that flying rings are a bad thing for seals before they even know what a flying ring is, that's fantastic, and we won't have this issue anymore. So we've got a petition. If you haven't ever signed the petition, please could you Google the petition, Save Our Seals from Flying Rings. But Sammy and the Flying Ring is the story. This is Sully and this is Sammy. And it's an utterly beautiful book written by Sandy Mum and Emma Jane, the artist, mum and daughter combination. And it's a beautiful story, a rescue story with a happy ending. And then, of course, please remember that on our one-stop online Sealy shop, we've got shed loads of gifts. And if you buy gifts from us, we support local makers. They can contain minimal amounts of plastic, if any. They tend to be ethical, they tend to be local, and they're supporting local makers. There's even some stuff in there that I've done. So we are a self-funding sustainably for sustainability and resilience. We rely totally on donations, adoptions. We've got a wild seal supporter and adoption scheme. Fundraising, we do online auctions, although we've been a bit lax with that recently. The online shop and legacies. Legacies are the big one for us because it means we can avoid relying on time-consuming grant applications. Right, I'm going to put this in the chat, but we will also send this out with the post talk email, and it's a survey, so you can give us your feedback about the talk. And we do genuinely need honest feedback from the talk, please, because only that way can we make sure that we improve them in the future. For example, I've talked for far too long. That was intended to be done in an hour, and it's taken me long. So I'm extremely sorry about that. That's one thing, note to self, maybe I need to cut some stuff out in the future. And breathe. Okay. How was that? Thumbs up. I'll tell you what, you can put in the chat. If you liked it a lot, you can put a 4. And if you liked it a little bit, you can put a 1. Yeah, just put a 4, anything between a 4 and a 1. That'll give me a bit of time to look at these questions. Although they are going to keep jumping up now. Okay. I'm going to find out where you all are. Phoebe says she's read H.R. Hewer's British Seals book from the 1970s, and I just wonder if you know a more recent summary of recent research. Well, if you go onto our online shop, there's my book, which has got lots of research in it. We've also got some research papers, and if you want to find out about them, Phoebe, you can just get in touch for sure. If you email us, I'm sure Zoe might just in the chat for us. Maybe put seals, or somebody put seals at sealresearchtrust.com. That's the email address. Okay, glad you like some of the videos. H.R. Hewer, I've got quite a few of his books. They are fantastic and well worth a look at. And I've got a feeling Hewer did some really incredible post-mortem analysis of seals, telling us about the sizes of them that hasn't been replicated and is really useful as a reference paper. Any recommended information books for adults? Yeah, go on our website. There's some good ones for adults. Having said that, my favourite seal book and I'd have to run out to go and get it because it's on the landing, is H.G. Harrell's Atlanta, My Seal. It's politically incorrect because it was written in the 1970s, I think. And but what it does for me, it's my favourite seal book because it speaks to the intelligence of grey seals. He could hold up a letter and the seal, but then there were about 4 or 5 different letters he had. If he held up the R, the seal would roll. And it just shows that a visual cue was enough for that seal to understand the instructions that he was giving, which is incredible. Okay, thank you very much. Informative, brilliant. Thank you. Glad you've enjoyed it. And absolutely wonderful presentation. And what epic work from you, Flo. Couldn't agree more. Amazing career in media beckons, I think. As long as it's seal media, that's fine with me. And do you have a link for the shop, please? Zoe's put it in there for you. So it's www.sealresearchtrust.com. Has Cornwall had many instances of wandering pups and mums leaving the natal beach to go to a secondary location before weaning? Yes, we haven't had many, but we've certainly had some. So Snowdrop is a classic one. Who's done it 2 years running. And I think what happens is Snowdrop's pups get washed out of the beach that they're on. And instead of letting her pup go with the flow east, Snowdrop makes her pup go against the flow and go west because she knows there is a safer beach to the west than there is to the east. And she's done that 2 years running. So, yeah, I think that does happen. We haven't got lots of cases, though. Do you have any cases, Phoebe? Maybe. If you do, you can unmute and tell us. Okay, survey. Any seal book recommendations? Well, I hate to do a self-publicity thing, but my books like 15, 20 years worth of knowledge to do with seals, but it's not written particularly scientifically. It's written based on science, but it's supposed to appeal to a wide audience. Sorry you were late joining, but it will be recorded. So yes, it will go on our YouTube channel. That's great. Any other questions? Okay, it looks like we're out of questions. Thank you for the 5, whoever was over generous with that. Don't cut anything out. Oh, okay, that's a good tip. More 5s. Oh, crikey, you guys are too kind. I'm glad you liked it. We've got some amazing experiences, haven't we, built up over the years, and the footage is lovely. I hope the video's played for you. All right. Have we got any more questions? Any more questions? Would anyone like to be brave, put their hand up, or just unmute themselves and say something? It would be lovely.
Yes, I have a question. Sorry, I put it in chat, but it's missed. Jilly, I'm on Anglesey.
Yeah.
I'm a BDM alarm medic, and we're really short of medics here at the minute. So for the past 2 weeks, we've been monitoring a pup on a really busy beach. So it's just myself and my friends who are volunteering, and we're monitoring him every daylight hour. And on yesterday, it was 2 weeks. So he has become such a chonk. Mum is doing brilliantly, but we're all exhausted. We're running out of resource, and the council have kindly closed the beach for us for 3 weeks, but that doesn't stop people turning up and wanting to go down there. So we've had all sorts of abuse. It's so challenging, stood there in all weathers. So I don't know what the outcome will be because he's not started to molt yet. He's only just over 2 weeks old. But is Mum likely to finish weaning at the end of the 3 weeks and him likely to go off?
So we've had seal pups weaned at 2 weeks. Those 2 that we were monitoring were both weaned at 2 weeks.
Wow.
Ish, to like 14, 15 days. Mum will definitely go after 3 weeks because she will starve. If she's given 80% of her body weight to her pup, she's now at risk of starvation unless she leaves and goes and feeds. So she will leave. But Julie, my advice to you is please get in touch with me, seals at sealresearchtrust.com, because there are lots of really good contacts who might be able to give a bit more oomph to you to support you I'm not sure how they'd help, but they might have the capacity to provide a bit more of help if people are being nasty or
Okay.
ignoring you. And the other thing is, what we do with the Pup Watch is we set up Google Sheet rotas, and we share that with, well, usually with British Divers Medics. But if you don't have enough British Divers Medics, you have an Anglesey Wildlife Trust, don't you?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Anglesey Wildlife Trust, share it with them. And basically you have this Google Sheet that they can edit. If you ask me for a Google Sheet, Julie, I can share you what ours look like. It's got hours, and then it's got this information. So that's how we collect the information about how long the pups have been fed and how many times they've been fed. So
Yeah.
it keeps the volunteers interesting when it can be quite boring sometimes.
Yeah.
Talks about how much engagement you've done as well, which is actually quite important too. And it means they can edit the sheet. And you could share that with the Wildlife Trust. If there are any other nature groups, I mean, is there a mammal group or something on Anglesey? I don't know. It's worth trying to get, if they're not medics, get anyone who's interested in nature to come and support you.
Yeah. Okay.
But
That
keep
sounds
it
good.
closed, get them to understand that it's closed for their members, because what you don't want is to go public, because
Yeah, sure.
decrease your issue.
Yeah. Thank
Can I
you.
just say, Jilly, I'm a volunteer and an ambassador. Shush the dog, sorry. An ambassador in Anglesey. So if you want to
Okay.
get in touch with me, maybe I can take a couple of shifts.
Oh, that would be brilliant, Kathy.
Yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, that'd be
Lovely.
great.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And
Yeah.
there are also more volunteers in North Wales, for some of the sites in North Wales that we could put you in touch with, who might be interested to come over and do
Yeah.
volunteering over with you.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's all about networking, Jelly.
Definitely
Networking
is.
with the
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
people.
How do I get Kathy's details to get in touch without
Yeah,
obviously?
if Kathy emails me and seals that and says,
Perfect.
please will you share my email with Jilly? Jilly, you email me and
Yeah.
say, Kathy's going to give me, and we'll make sure that we do that for you.
I'll
Thank
get
you.
that done. All right,
Lovely.
Jilly,
Thank
I'll
you.
speak to you soon.
Lovely.
Thanks.
How fabulous
Hey.
is that? Okay, anybody else want to unmute and say something or ask a question?
Sue, can you
Yes,
hear
I
me?
can. Hi, Malcolm.
Just as you went through the presentation, I was wondering, something I'd never really sort of thought out too much is, what actual threat do other mums present to a mum's pup? I've seen them chase other mums away a lot of times.
I personally have never seen them causing much of an issue.
Right.
Having said that, so I think 98%, 99% not an issue. But there is the 1 or 2% where it would be an issue. And we have had mums really wrestle quite aggressively with a pup who has then had subsequent bite marks that have been bleeding. So obviously, the majority understand that these are children that need to be told firmly and seriously, but carefully. But there are clearly others who are outliers who just go for it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the great question. And thanks for all you do as well, Malcolm. Who's next? There must be someone.
Hi Sue, I've got a question.
Hi, Ash. Oh, lovely
Hello.
to see you, Ash. Gosh, it's
You
been a while.
too. It has. I wondered about how much interaction pups have with each other on beaches when they're still white coats and young and still with their mums. When their mums have left them, do they interact much with each other, or do they sort of keep out of each other's way?
So I'd be really interested if anyone's got a different answer to me than this. So my answer is, we don't see pups interacting with pups that often, which is why I showed those two pups interacting with each other. Relatively unusual for us. But there are loads of other areas and loads of other experienced people on this call. Does anyone see lots of interaction between pups and pups? Don't be scared to unmute.
Hi. So I'm a free diver, and I've videoed quite a few pups playing with each other. So I'm not sure if they're siblings or unrelated, but definitely seen them play with each other.
Okay, and are they white coats or are they molted ones?
Molted normally.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Right, that's a whole different ballgame then. That's a really good point that you've raised. Molted pups will interact with each other quite a lot,
Right.
but white coats tend less so, in my experience. But what I've learned from doing the courses that I do when I have people from all over the UK is grey seals are not the same everywhere. All right, Ash, hope that's answered your question.
Yes, it has. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hiya.
Hi, Claire.
I'm a warden at Halsey. I've been doing it for 6 years now, and I have seen pups, white coats, interact with each other. And I think it may have been last season we were watching it for ages. They were just playing with each other, and they were both weaned. But yeah, they were interacting a lot, and we have seen it on quite a few occasions. I certainly have.
Okay, so maybe when I said white coats, maybe what I should have said is unweaned.
Right.
Less likely with unweaned, more likely with weaned. But nevertheless, as I said earlier, it could be completely different elsewhere. So that's brilliant that you've given that contribution. Thank you, Claire.
And also, just one more thing. So I feel
Yeah.
quite lucky. I've seen 3 births, two in last November, which was amazing because some have been volunteers for 10 years or so and never seen one. I've lucky to seen 3, and we've had somebody first ever shift saw their first birth. So it's obviously very lucky in that respect. And I managed to get one on video, which I was really pleased with. We're all crying. There's about 20 of us watching up in the dunes, looking down and crying. But I've got a birth on video, which was amazing.
Claire, did you already share that with us, or have we not had that?
No, I haven't shared that.
Okay,
No.
so if you wanted to share that with us, I
Yeah,
don't know
sure.
if you could put it on your YouTube channel or we could put it on ours. But I mean, it's such a special experience, isn't it?
It is.
And also,
I'll email that. I'll email that across to you.
did the pop come out rear flippers first or head first?
I think it was head first.
Okay, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that seems to be a bit more frequent, but we've definitely seen one at Horsey on a video somewhere coming out feet first.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just noticed this as well. So Zoe, who's on the call, who's our co-host, she designs these, and we've got some of these, and one with just this picture on it on a t-shirt, and they're beautiful. They're on our online shop. Just noticed it. Well done, Zoe. Thank you for doing those. Okay, who else? Who's next?
Can I ask a question, please?
Oh yeah, Deborah.
Hi there. Sorry, quick question. I noticed quite a few of the seals in the videos were molted pups who were still feeding. How usual is that, please? They seem to be fully molted and
It
still.
seems to be quite usual, but I think one of the reasons why that might be, maybe pups lose their white coats more quickly when they're in the water a lot. But I don't know that for sure. What are your thoughts?
I really don't know. I think I'd usually imagine if you go to the BDMLR medic, you're finding a half molted pup that there's no mum around, and you think that that's the end of their feeding. So I was interested to see fully molted pups who were still feeding.
Well, if some of our pups were weaning at 14 days, and we've had fully molted ones at 15 days.
Yeah. Okay.
If some of them are still feeding for 3 weeks, then yeah, they're still going to be. I think it's an individual thing, to be honest.
Right. Thanks very much. Thank you.
It's a bit like humans, isn't it? You get old, you get kids who come out big, kids who come out small. Some are more fully developed than others. Some have got bigger brains than others. Who knows? I think they're all that's the thing that if there was one word that summed up everything that I've learned about seals, it's that the individuals are unique. A bit like humans.
Thank you very much.
Claire, did you try and ask a question as well? Sorry, I'm not sure.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi. I got asked when I was on site once, if pregnant seals that miscarriage, how it can affect them.
Okay, very brilliant question. What was your
Yeah,
answer? Do you know what's your thought?
mine, I think it may do because like obviously with hormones and that, but obviously I didn't want to answer the question because I weren't 100% sure.
Yeah,
So I
well,
said
I'm
to,
with you. Go on,
yeah,
go on.
yeah, I just said that I'll like try and find out.
So my answer would be your hormones control everything.
Yeah,
Your hormones don't switch off like that. And I know that for a fact with seals for sure, because we've watched a seal mate thinking that would be her last boyfriend. She'd had four boyfriends already, and she mated with the fifth one. And she was still playing around with boys for the next few days. Only after that, the hormone trigger must have happened to say, actually, I'm pregnant, so I'm not going to be interested in boys anymore. So I think
yeah,
there is a delay, but why would a high level mammal not have complications as well from a miscarriage or a separated pup, one that's been washed out to sea?
yeah.
Do they feel any emotions? That's impossible to say. But I'm going to be honest with you. The thing that I've never understood about seals is watching live seals lie next to dead seals, apparently not concerned.
Hmm.
They must be able to smell that the carcass is dead. I'm not saying that they're not bothered. I'm just saying there are no external signs of them being bothered. But it doesn't mean they're not bothered. I mean, there must be a separation experience, mustn't there, if you
Yeah.
lose your pup? If you have a miscarriage, there's huge implications on human emotions. They have oxytocin like we do, so they get the pleasure hormone. If they're lacking that pleasure hormone that they would have expected, that's going to have an impact, isn't it? So yeah, I think they're likely to be fair. Anybody else got a view about that? Challenging question, Claire. Don't really know
Yeah.
the answer.
Well, I've had two. The other one was I emailed you. A 7-year-old asked me if seals dream like dogs do.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Did I reply?
you were looking into it. Yeah,
So yeah, I think that seals do dream. The
yeah.
reason I think that they do dream is they have REM sleep like we do, which is when we dream. What I've yet to do is capture sufficient videos where I'm happy to say they're dreaming.
That's
But I
what
have
I've been
got,
doing now.
have you
Really
got
looking for
some?
seals like showing that they are dreaming.
Yes, everybody look out for videos of
Yeah.
seals because we've got one where the seal is opening its mouth and its whiskers are moving a lot, but it's sleeping at the surface. But if it was opening its mouth and yawning, it would have a wide gape. So it's not yawning. It's a bit like it's catching fish in its sleep. But we'll never know, will we?
Yeah.
Really? Unless we do really invasive research and put all sorts of sensors on top of their heads in a pool somewhere, we're never going to know if they're dreaming. But I'd be surprised if they didn't dream.
Yeah.
And I love the question because I'd never had that thought, Claire, until you asked me.
Which one about the
Dreaming.
oh, the dreaming? Yeah, it
Never
was
thought of it.
it was off a 7-year-old. 7-year-olds caught me out.
7-year-olds, 13-year-olds,
Yeah,
than us sometimes, eh?
yeah, yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Lovely. Okay. Well, I'm going to do another 5 minutes. So if you've got a question, you need to ask it now because we're going to close down in a minute. Or are we out of questions?
Hi, so I've got a question. Sorry, I missed the beginning of the chat due to work. With the seal pups, how often do they come back to be fed back? Like, well, how often do they get fed off of mum?
So we think that they get about 100 feeds. So they have one every 4 hours-ish when they're really young with those small tummies.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably have a feed every 6 or 7 hours by the time they get to weaning, but they can be feeding for 30 minutes. So
Right, okay.
yeah, it varies depending on how old they are. And I come back to that word unique. I think it also depends on the pup and the mum.
Yeah. It's just I volunteer at seal rehabilitation centre, and that's always a question that's on our kind of minds, in the sense of how often they get fed as well. Well, I know from a volunteer view, that's what we kind of talk about, because obviously estimating the fish, but
So
it was just a question if it had been recorded, obviously.
it's
How
fundamentally
often?
important to your work, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because presumably you want to replicate what happens in the wild. So if you
yeah,
email us, seals@sealresearchtrust.com, I could send you those graphs. There's only 2 of them, and it's only a sample of 2.
yeah,
But at least it's detailed data about how many feeds and how long the average
yeah,
feed was for each of those days through to day 15.
yeah. Oh, that would be great. Thank you very much for that.
No worries, just ask me specifically for that and I'll send it to you.
That's great. Thank you.
Any more for any more? Are there any more in the chat? Oh, we've had some of those. But okay, on Bardsey Island, I saw at least 7 mums and pups moving to a secondary location. Phoebe, Bards is amazing, isn't it? Total pups born on the island around 70. The secondary locations are not always more sheltered from adverse weather on high tides. No, I think sometimes pups just get washed round to where they get washed round, and often they're not washed round to really helpful places. We have one site that we call it's like a massive, great big boulder beach, and it's only ever used by pups that have been washed out from the pupping sites, neighbouring pupping sites. But it's not an ideal location at all because the boulders are huge. Started my 2nd year on Horsey. Seen whitecoats being taught to swim in the sea like you seem to have in court. We haven't seen. It's not anyone from Horsey, I think, would tell you that you don't have seal pups swimming. I think I'm right about that, but somebody can unmute and correct me. I think it's partly because of the geography. You know, we've got small beaches, cliff backed. There's nowhere to go if the tide comes in. Horsey, you've got a massive distance when the tide's out to the sea, far too much energy. The pups are oblivious to people. The mums can't afford to waste the energy to leave their pups, and their pups will be at risk because it's a busy beach. And the males can't afford to leave the mums because otherwise they lose their territory and they lose the opportunity to mate when they come in season. So they're all fixed where they are generally because of the geography. I think that's the case anyway. Somebody from Horsey can contradict me.
I agree with you.
Okay, all right then, Claire. That's great. Oh, we were sent this article about elephant seals dreaming, so there's a link in the chat. Claire Murgatroyd, if you want to read that article about elephant seals dreaming.
Oh, yeah, will do. Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, you've recorded a small seal pup sleeping at the bottom of the sea around 2 to 3 meters depth. Is that normal? I have never seen that, but then I'm not a diver like you. Seals sleeping on the seabed is totally normal. So if it's a weaned pup, I would be very surprised if they didn't sleep on the seabed. And if those of you who work in rehab have the luxury of an underwater window to watch. I remember, I think we were filming for the BBC for something or other. I can't remember what it was. Might have been Springwatch. And the seal pup that I'd rescued was in rehab, was about to be released back in the wild. And they took me to the seal sanctuary, blindfolded me, and put me up so I could see this seal pup in this underwater pool. And what it was doing was it was awake at the surface. It went to sleep and sank down to the bottom of the pool and bounced gently off the bottom of the pool, fast asleep. And then when it was ready to breathe, straight back to the surface, take a few breaths, go to sleep, sink all the way to the bottom, bounce, and go to sleep. So yes, I think it's perfectly normal. But it's incredible, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. And how often do you get a privileged view like that, unless you're a diver? Where are you, just out of interest, diving? What part of the country?
South Lizard.
Where again, sorry?
South Lizard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are at all interested in having a bit of a holiday in Cornwall, we do volunteer dive surveys in St Ives Bay, which is an utterly epic place to dive in June, July and August during neep tides. We have spring neeps. We do it on in Cornwall. So if that might be something that you're interested in as a volunteer diver, we pay expenses. We might not be able to pay all the way from there, but yeah, we do pay expenses. If you're interested in contributing to the dive surveys, that would be amazing. Anita might be up for that as well, which is great. Peterborough have an underwater window live stream, have they? Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Have you got a link by any chance, Simone? She's looking. Of their big rehab pool. There's a very sleepy pup in the pool right now. Always bouncing, sinking, bouncing, breathing. Super fun to watch. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you, Simone. She'll put it in the chat in a minute. We've got 3 minutes, folks. I can't believe my voice has lasted, to be honest. Don't know how that's happened. Who else wants to ask a comment, statement, observation? I watched one of our rehab pups doing exactly that. Fast asleep, just dropping down to the bottom of the pool, slowly pull back up again, take a couple of deep breaths and drop back. Got a cute video, such huge big breaths before dropping down again. So the other thing is, the science says that seals have a rear flipper reflex. Now, I used to say that when they're bottling at the surface, they will autonomically sink below the surface, and when their carbon dioxide levels build up in their bloodstream, this rear flipper reflex will bring them back to the surface. I don't say that anymore because I've learned new science. The new science last year, can't remember, but I can't believe it's November. The new science says that when they're at the surface, they take a few breaths, they sink autonomically, and when the oxygen levels are depleted, they have a rear flipper reflex that brings them back to the surface to breathe. So unlike us, we can't detect oxygen. We don't have oxygen sensors in our body. All we have is carbon dioxide sensors. It's been proven in recent research that seals have oxygen sensors, so they can tell when they're oxygen depleted rather than using carbon dioxide as a proxy. Who knew? See, for all years I've been wrong. It's dark now, you have to rewind to an earlier time. Okay, but that looks like it's going to be a beautiful link. What I'll try and do is get Karen to send that out to you so that you can see Peterborough pool. Thanks, Simone, that's a great tip. Excellent, lovely. 1 minute, or should we stop there? I think we'll stop there. Any comments that you want answering, any questions you want answering, put them in the chat, because I know I haven't had scan time scan it properly. And I'm absolutely delighted that you all put where you were and who you are and what you love about seals. We will attempt to share some of your feedback because that would just be lovely. Thank you so much. And please, 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 if we do go for grants, it always helps if we've got feedback from people from the events that we do. I'm delighted to say that for the first time ever, we've had over 100 people on this call. We did the Seal Alliance masterclass, and unfortunately had lots of disappointed people because we'd had 160 sign up, and when we'd had that before, only 70 turned up on the night. So we didn't extend our Zoom account because obviously it's an ongoing cost for us. But we decided that we would for the SharePoint for the Seal Alliance, which is coming up on the 20th of November. We'll put all of this in the post talk email. So that means we've got 300 people and we've managed to let in over 100 for the first time ever. So massive celebration. Thank you for being a first for the Seal Research Trust. And keep up all your good work because you're obviously passionate advocates for seals, or even if you're just interested and live miles away. And if you do live miles away from where a seal is and you want to do some remote volunteering, email seals@sealresearchtrust.com. We have volunteers as far away as Australia, and they get sent beautiful seal photos from Cornwall, and they process them and they send them back to us with information. So, you know, if you fancy doing remote volunteering, you know where we are. That's if you've got any spare time in your life. Gonna say good night now. Off you go. Go and get yourself a drink, go and get some food, and thank you very, very much. And I'm sorry that we're late finishing, but it seems like I'm not going to cut anything down. Thank you all.
So much.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
No, thank you for joining us. It's an honour and a privilege.
And Sue, you're still recording.
I'm still recording. Thank you very much, Zoe.
You'll have to edit the chat bit out at the end.